do want to get this out of the way early and hopefully quickly. There's something I want to address. There's a new podcast that's hosted by two men, and if we're honest, two open micers. And their names are Josh Jacobou and Brian Lichter. Now, these are guys we know, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People we know, and guys who have done some things for us. In fact, I'm pretty sure Josh Jacobou won one of our show-related song parody contests at one point, right, Dan?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he did a great
What
job.
song? What was the name of the song?
Actually, I think it was he did like a medley. Speaking of medleys, I think he did a medley of 3 current pop songs.
Right, I guess that was to appease you. Okay.
Well, he and Brian Lichter, they're doing a new podcast together, and that's wonderful because who doesn't get excited when there's a new podcast? Right?
Yeah.
Well, the name of their show is the True Life Not Doritos podcast.
This is True Life, by the way. It's not Doritos or anything.
Now, Dan, for the new listeners, do you mind taking a moment and explaining to the folks the significance of that phrase, True Life Not Doritos, and how it relates to this program?
Yeah, sure. But feel free to jump in because it's been a years actually.
Right.
You guys, a friend of the show, Nick Ballmer. He went to open mic in Northeast Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, and he went on stage. And before actually going on stage, he was soliciting advice from other comedians, telling them that his father had passed away, and he came in a suit, and he just came from the viewing, and it was always his father's wish to do stand up, and he was doing a open mic set in honor of his father, and was asking advice. So. This.
I'm sorry. I would have called on that right away. He could have just. That's like coming in an open mic saying that I just got sentenced by a judge to tell jokes. Like it's the same level.
It was in my father's will. Yeah, I know I have to do comedy.
Or the judge would send you to listen to John's jokes.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Well, it turned out that a lot of people bought this, and
John, you're an ass.
and it was, I believe it was actually videotaped of these people at the open mic. They were giving advice and really enjoyed being put in this position where they were, seen as this as a veteran of comedy, and were
sages.
Yes,
they were elevated to the role of sage in his world.
They were very happy to pontificate and advise and be this elder sage. So and then Nick goes on stage, and he explains the situation to the audience, and he starts in on his act, and then he drops it, and he drops the ruse, and he goes into some pretty off-color material, and the room just turned on him like on a dime. It became this very tense situation where. The folks who were interviewed before started to get up, and they started to really heckle, and I think it escalated to a point where it actually became pretty tense. And in the conflict between Nick and the folks at the open mic, Nick, I can't remember what set up his response, but
that's been lost to history as far as I know. It doesn't matter.
This is True Life, by the way, not Doritos. For months, Nick was known as Doritos guy. It became kind of his moniker, and it was a very often used drop on the show.
And that's a key point. And that's going to come up in a bit. Now, to be clear, this show that Josh Jacobou and Brian Lichter are doing now, it's called True Life. It's called the True Life, Not Doritos podcast. It's not a show in tribute to us. It's not even a show that's critical of us. It's just the title those guys chose for their program. Now, I want to play some audio of a recent episode of theirs. So, gentlemen, get a little of this. Start streaming.
Yeah, make sure you drink some water there.
Okay, see, this is how the show starts, by the way. Frozen opening, no intro. Wow. No intro whatsoever.
Millennium stuff.
It's they just start talking like anyone knows what they're talking about or what happened before, and the whole show makes you feel like you're an NSA agent who was assigned to some sort of cell made up of radicalized autistics.
That's the name of my group.
All right.
Show title.
I'm not going to play with any Legos today. Don't worry.
Okay, that's Brian Lichter.
All right, we're live here.
And there's Josh Jacobou.
installment of, well, are we allowed to call this show True Life Not Doritos?
Oh, right. So there's this whole thing. Do you want to address that up front, or?
Well, you know more about it than me. You were contacted recently, so you go into it.
Sure. Recently, for the global audience, I think we're still allowed to say global audience. I don't think that phrase is in question.
Okay, here's the thing. When I say global media, I'm referring to the entirety of podcasting, the entirety of everything that's on the internet. By nature of being on the internet, you're part of a global medium. It's not just this show. And I don't feel I should have to say that, but for some reason I still have to. Back to the audio.
But recently I was contacted by somebody from a Philadelphia or a Media, Pennsylvania podcast network.
There's no such thing as a local podcast. Where the mics are located has nothing to do with the access people have through the entirety of the internet accessible world.
Network, I guess you could call it, called Laughcast. The owner of that network is saying that the name True Life Not Doritos, which has been the name of this podcast, is property of the company, of their company. I could actually read the letter here.
Yeah, I want to hear what it says.
All right.
Brian's just proud that he can read something. I think that's what it is.
Oh, by the way, I'm Josh Jack, and the guy talking.
Josh Jack.
Yeah, that's only about time, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow. How to cook oatmeal directions.
That's for the super fans, but we appreciate it.
Lion.
All right, go ahead.
It says, good afternoon. It has come to my attention that the name of your podcast, True Life Not Doritos, is property of my company, Laughcast Limited. While I like to support fellow podcasts, I cannot allow you to violate copyright in such an irresponsible way. I have spent the better part of the last decade building the Laughcast network, and your conduct would be putting the brand in jeopardy. This cease and desist letter is just a warning. I'm requesting that you change the name of the show as well as edit any utterances of True Life Not Doritos out of previous episodes. If you choose not to cooperate with this request, I am prepared to get the Frito Corporation involved. Also, I am banning you from making any, from ever appearing on any Laughcast shows because I'm personally heartbroken about this. Hope you understand. Regards, Chris Gamuffa, owner of Laughcast Limited.
That's you, Chris.
See, I think this is a joke. How can he involve the Frito? So you mean to tell me the Frito-Lay company knows about his copyright of True Life Not Doritos?
Well, it sounds like what he's saying is because we also don't own the name Doritos, that if he wants to, he can get that company involved because technically we're violating, I guess, 2 copyrights. My question is, so we talked about a few ways to switch up the name. What's your reaction here? What should we be doing? I mean, I think it's pretty fucked up. I think that first of all, you said that this, which is true, that this phrase existed before any podcast on their network did anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, this to me, I mean, I'm not a law expert, but it's like if you copyright something, then I think you can own a phrase. But if you just claim you own something, it's like, how does he? Like, it's first of all, how is it property of Lavis? They played a clip, which, by the way, is on my Back to the Humor is my YouTube channel that I started with Darren, and they played a clip from there, which Darren gave them permission to do, and the phrase is on that. It wasn't a phrase, by the way. It was just a joke, an act, and now it's being used for a show, and now another guy is just claiming, hey, that's my phrase or something. That's our...
No. See, it wasn't a joke and an act. And by the way, as far as us not owning that, the phrase first appeared in a video shot by our very own Darren Minette Martinez of a stand-up act performed by our soon-to-be friend of ours, as soon as to be part of the show at that point, Nick Doritos Guy Valmer. So it's pretty well a self-contained piece of show property, in my opinion.
property? How is it property? What, because you guys made one episode where you said, oh, that's funny?
I think so. I think what happened was, I don't know if...
Okay, whatever. See, Brian is being very funny here. He's playing a joke on Josh Jacobou. And we, of course, sent no such cease and desist letter from us or from Chris Camuffa. That was a joke he was playing on his co-host. And Josh is actually correct. We have no legal copyright claim to the phrase, true life, not Doritos. Now, I asked Darren... when I heard this, I asked Darren if we could arrange a phone call with Josh Jacobou. And do you know what Darren said to me? Did you see this on the production page?
No, I did not.
He said, well, Josh doesn't really like doing your show anymore.
Oh?
So that kind of petered my finch. And then I dove into their archive a little bit, and I listened to more episodes. I listened to a little bit more, dove in here and there of the True Life Not Doritos podcast, and some of their content, man, was it harsh.
In what regard?
And well, I'll give you an example. During one episode, they threw around a certain racial slur, like John, as soon as the mics are off.
As soon as the mics are off.
As soon as the mics are off. And,
That's the name. That's the name tonight.
I don't like those clock fixers.
Keep your hands.
It's like, John, if you're watching the American Music Awards with him. Yeah, we get it, John. There's a lot of rap. That's what the kids are into. Relax.
It's
a
the
different
millennium
time.
stuff.
But of course, I'm kidding. Of course,
Right.
John says no such thing. But I don't know. It made me ashamed of the association with our show that's implied by them using the title. So you can imagine how I felt about that. I mean, they're saying these things and using something that's associated with us. And I thought the implied endorsement was too much. Now, as I said, Josh is right. We have no claim to that phrase under copyright law. But I will tell you this. You don't make it 34 years in broadcasting. And by the way, in a couple weeks, 34 years. How about that? We did it.
Yeah,
we did it.
you tell him, Steve. You can't let those Frito Banditos get away with that.
And when you know this, you
Yeah, there
don't
are
make
a
it
couple-
34 years in this business.
Fritos, they're a couple of dips, okay? I don't want to. Everybody has that right to, to coin a phrase, okay? And to copyright that phrase, no matter what it is. Like, I can't believe this is butter, okay? I can't believe this is a podcast. I'm going to use that.
Right, it should be a radio show. You're exactly correct. It should be on Kellerland.
And sometimes it crosses over, and there's a whole copyright law. And you have to make up a name like Kodak, okay, with just a made-up name, or Intel, or something like that kind of skates that, that a phrase is going to be used, okay?
But the thing is, you're right about this, but
was this just a joke that they did?
Brian Lichter was playing a joke on Josh Jacobou, and Josh, again, he is completely right. We have no claim to that phrase under copyright law. But as I said, 34 years in broadcasting, you don't make it this far without learning a little bit about intellectual property law.
What?
Now, under the IP statute, all we would have to do to force them to change the name of their show is demonstrate that the phrase "True Life, Not Doritos" came into the public consciousness as a result of our use of it on this program. And that would be, as we've already demonstrated, Dan?
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
Yeah.
No court would disagree with this, right?
Correct.
No. It's crazy. Now, Josh apparently has no time for us. He doesn't want to do the show anymore, and I assume that has something to do with something I said. We can all assume it had something to do with I said. Maybe he was sitting to my right on that particular night when he was here, and I said something, and he felt like he was being interrogated, and he felt like the mics were off when he could have said whatever he wanted. Happens all the time.
It's showbiz.
It's showbiz.
Did Josh Me Too you?
Say it again, Chris.
Did Josh Me Too you?
Hashtag me too.
As good as hashtag me tooing me. He doesn't want to be a part of this show, but, that's fine. Perhaps Brian Lichter has some time for us. And maybe he's listening. Maybe someone he knows is listening. So if someone he knows is listening, let Brian know. He has until the end of this show. Give us a call, 877-587-6833. And maybe we can work this out without involving the courts. But I'm prepared to
Or
to
the
go to the
police.
wall for this.
You know what police they'd send? Eric Estrada from Chips. He'd bag those guys. All right.
Steve, your eyes are better than mine.
Yeah.
Most podcasts are listenable to for 1 hour, 60 minutes, more or less, right?
All right.
How good are your eyes?
Yeah. This is like. But this is almost a 3-hour long episode.
Oh my
2
God.
hours and 47 minutes long.
And what you already heard, that was the most listenable part of this episode.
That's like Lenny Bruce towards the end of his career, would just get up there and
read his court
rant
documents.
about his court things. But
Yeah,
I
he
think
was
that it's a
basically a pioneer.
very, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
But they're not even imitating us. They're just stealing from us. And Josh, he has no time for us. He can't do this show, yet he can appropriate our material.
Well,
That's perfectly fine with him.
it's millennium stuff, and there's no scruples because everybody has access to the equipment that you need to do a podcast. It's not as that it's that special anymore, okay? Because the electronics are so sophisticated.
You ever
now.
think of suing Carrot Top?
What?
You ever think of suing Carrot Top?
Was that-
I know you
was
guys
there
have a
ever a
love-hate
prop?
relationship.
That was too close? Yeah, that's interesting.
And then I would have to stand up in court. No, of course I've thought in that sort of jealousy sort of way,
Especially with him?
But
He's a sticking point with you.
then
You guys have a love-hate relationship.
yeah, probably,
And he's admitted that you were a huge influence on him.
But.
And do you,
But if I wanted to do that, I would, I would have to sue, Alec Baldwin for using my last name. I would have to say, I don't want to get into that world. That would make me feel scuzzy. Some people have a moral barometer that they have to, and I don't mind,
And your barometer is very strong. You're a good man.
But that's just odd. I mean, on the podcast, do they even describe? About like the whole. It's so weird. Every time I'm on this show, Doritos guy is like intertwined with me being a guest here. Like when I was on the show, it was the first time Doritos guy called in ever.
Right.
And I remember that was like a big deal.
He found us. He
found
us as
us.
a result
And
of
you
us
guys
playing that clip.
And you guys weren't expecting it at all. And it was like a big deal. And then when I was on again, he was the one who dug up the Rapping Weatherman stuff and put that all out there and like interviewed people about Rapping Weatherman, and everyone thought I was black. So I mean, like just random weird things that like me and Doritos guy have like crossed paths.
That just shows you how much of a part of our show that this whole Doritos guy and this True Life. And you know what? I not only are they doing that, but when I listen to the show, they were reading John Kensel's tweets.
oh my!
Not out loud, but they were reading them.
We do have a caller. Is this who do we have here?
Hey, this is the incomparable Josh Jacobou on the phone.
Fantastic, Josh Jacobou. Fantastic, because I'm glad we're talking to you over Brian Lichter. The reason why, I want to know what I did to piss you off that you don't want to be part of the show anymore. You don't want to do anything for us. You don't want to appear on with us.
No, well, yeah, you only tell one side of the story to your global medium.
No, listen, I only tell the side of the story I know.
Well, what happened was, real quick to speed people up, because you like to explain things to your new listeners. That's a big part of your thing. You played a song for my show without even asking me, Crazy Straw, which I appreciate, and you didn't even ask me. So I said, oh, geez, thanks for asking. And you spit it like I was pissed at you. And then you said, this guy is so ungrateful. I promoted everything he's ever done. So I just stayed off the show. Like, all right, he's pissed at me, and now he's making it seem like he's launched my career, and I owe him something. So I just stayed away from it. I never really felt like, I listen to your show every week, but I never felt like I had to call in or anything. It was like I was an occasional guest. It was fun. But you guys do a good show. You got top stand-up comedians. You don't need me on the show, so I don't see why you would care at all.
You're already fearing the lawyers. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing fear in your voice because you know the lawyers have their knives sharpened, their pencils sharpened, and they're coming after you. That's what this is. You're backpedaling. Josh, why did you decide to call your program True Life, Not Doritos?
Well, I asked Nick about it, and he thought it was funny, and Nick was the guy who came up with the phrase. Even if you say he's a part of your show, like, I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, that's funny. And it's like, if he's the guy who came up with the phrase, why can't I use it for the show? I didn't think I had to ask you like for a blessing or something.
Well, then why did I have to ask you to play your song, especially after a few times before I played your songs with your permission? I assumed the next time I wouldn't have to, and that seemed to have pissed you off.
I think you guys should have a feud. I think a feud, a good old-fashioned radio podcast feud, okay? Where you can both vent to each other. All right? I think that would get us both publicity.
I don't like podcast feuds. I'm not in this for...
All right, I'm just saying.
No, but I understand. I know that's a big part of a lot of people's lives, but I really want to sort through this issue. So Nick told you that it would be a good idea to call your show that. Do you think he was not fucking with you?
No, he wasn't. He just texted me now, so you call him up and ask him. But Will Fitz is here. He wants to say hi real quick. Baba booey, baba booey.
Like the Hatfields and the McCoys. That's the only way I can see doing it. All right?
Do you not think there are no repercussions to doing this? I mean, I'm obviously pissed about this. Do you not think there are any repercussions?
Well, yeah, you guys are gonna sue apparently. But listen, no, I'm not fucking anybody.
Is that Brian?
Oh, sorry. No, I said I'm not pissed. I'm not pissed. Yeah, that was Mike the bartender.
I was he's at the comedy club.
Okay.
Yeah, I live at the cabaret.
I can recognize that. I have recognized that sass.
Describe your surroundings. I'm trying to get a feel for.
He's at a Motel 6.
I thought he was at Bennigan's.
What happened to the first 5?
Recognize that sass.
Will Fitz and I are in the showroom at the Northeast Cabaret. We're doing a podcast. And then Nick just texted me during the podcast and said they're talking about it.
You're doing a horrible podcast. Is there going to be an opening to this podcast? Is there going to be an intro? Let people know?
Well, every podcast, I mean, why would you care if I'm on your show if I do such horrible podcast appearances? That's what I don't understand.
Well, no, you do great podcast appearances as a guest, but I mean, it's like, here's the thing. Magic Johnson was great when he was a guest on Carson, but when he did his own show, I mean, you saw what happened.
He lost the magic.
And I think that's what's going on, Josh.
Yeah, I lost my mojo, which I never had, by the way.
All right. Well, I think there's a way we might be able to work this out without getting the lawyers involved. Are you willing to listen?
Not really.
Sabina Colada.
So you would prefer this to go through the courts, Josh? That's what you're telling me?
Here's what I wanted. All I wanted to say was I was never pissed at you. I said it bothered me you didn't ask. That's not piss. You spinned it. I even messaged you on Facebook. Remember, you're like, I was just trying to stir things up. And
I don't remember it that way, but all right.
Yeah, I have a Facebook message, but whatever. So I think we should go on Judge Judy or one of these court shows and plug our shows on the global medium and get some publicity here.
A good old-fashioned feud.
Yeah.
Or we could settle this through a scene. Now, Wid's all in with us having a feud. I don't want us to have a feud. I think there's a way Josh, are you listening?
Josh can be our butler for a month.
That's a good name for a butler.
Go ahead, Steve. I'm listening.
I think there's a way we can settle this. All right? Are you recording this? Please tell me you're recording this for your little dog and pony podcast.
I'm not recording
Dog and pony.
I'm not recording it.
All right,
I will take the audio from this for a shitty podcast, but I'm not recording it.
Okay, well, you can take this from a real podcast, a real talk show, and here's what I want you to do. Before every episode of True Life Not Doritos, I want you to include a disclaimer. And this is the only thing, Josh... This is the only thing, Josh, that will keep the lawyers away. Okay?
All right.
Okay. I want you to include a disclaimer at the top of every episode of True Life Not Doritos. In fact, I'll cut it for you right now, and here's what you can do. You can take what I'm about to say, slice it up, and put it at the top of every episode of your new little enterprise there, and we'll see how that works. But, okay, you ready? Here it is. I'm going to deliver this for you, and in my own voice. So it's kind of like an endorsement, but it won't be. Okay, you ready? The following program is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Passive Aggressive Hour, the greatest show in the history of broadcasting. Oski Wee Wee. Okay, so there you go, Josh. Tack that onto the top of every episode you do. And not just going forward. All the episodes that are already uploaded, they have to be recut. with that intro.
That's too late. It's already on iTunes Medium.
Yeah, but you can fix that. Can fix that.
In fact, can we include that on Josh's appearances on the Passive Aggressive Hour? Can we go back and...
That'd be a great idea. Make sure people know that we're not endorsing anything that happens.
Josh, can I say something? This is a legendary wid. John and I are appearing in that very room this weekend. Could you give us a plug on your radio program like that? No, honestly, I think that would be good. And it would show a little emotion and, maybe throw a little extinguisher on this fiery feud that's going on here.
Don't let them shots scare you, Josh. This is Will here. They were just comparing you to Magic Johnson. Look, they're joking about this show. They're still talking about this show. And if Magic Johnson beat AIDS, you can beat this too.
That's my attorney.
Yeah, but you can't beat your wife, okay?
So Josh, listen to me. I'm telling you what I just said. If you make what happened, what I just requested, by the end of the month, January 2018, we'll call the dogs off. We'll put the brakes on the legal vehicle that's running over your show right now. How's that sound?
Sounds okay. I'll let them know.
Hello?
Yeah, I said I'll let B. Lion know.
No, not you let B. Lion know. Make an executive decision. Have the balls, Josh, to say, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. And start dressing a little better.
Say it again?
He's the director behind this.
No,
Don't let big comedy intimidate you.
We need an interpreter?
Yeah, I don't understand. Do you understand anything that's happening here, Wood?
No, I understand that they feel a little, but that's you were a mentor to them, and they ran away with the farm, which is kind of, they should have ran it through the show instead of doing that.
Josh, you understand there's a governor's race going on in South Dakota right now. In 2018, we're going to elect a new governor, and let me tell you, anything those candidates can do to court my endorsement, they will do.
You don't want to sink the Bismarck.
Right. Well, guys, I hear what you have to say.
They will do anything, Josh, listen to me. They will do anything to court my endorsement. I'm telling you, two of the candidates, and this is completely true, two of the candidates have documented themselves killing snakes.
Yeah.
Now, if there's no other attempt to get my attention and to win the endorsement of the Boycalf, I've never heard of anything such. They're killing snakes because they want my coveted endorsement. Do you think they wouldn't treat your little bullshit show as their next snake?
Wow.
You think they wouldn't do the same to you? Your show would be collateral damage.
Slithering.
To get my slithering collateral damage. To get my attention. There it is. There I am at the age of 6.5. My first radio appearance. What I did during my first radio appearance. Saying I don't like snakes. My protest song against snakes. And this has actually been an issue in the campaign for the governor of South Dakota. Is that the sort of thing you want to mess with? Is that the sort of thing you want to mess with? You mess with the Boycalf, you get the dork. Now, I understand, Josh, did he agree? Did he not agree? I don't understand. I don't even know what happened.
I think it was like he took it, but he did the normal corporate thing of, I got to move this up the chain and get approval.
There's no chain. They don't have a chain. We have a chain.
Yeah.
They don't have a chain.
Right.
There's no chain to the True Life Not Doritos podcast. And I'm telling you, I would really appreciate it if they'd back off and stop dragging us through the mud by association with their horrible show where they use the N-word repeatedly. We do have another caller. Perhaps
is that
the same
true?
Caller.
Oh, they are dips.
Caller?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
I'm just calling in because Mike O'Donnell is on the show.
An Irishman.
Okay, and what do we have? What do we have for Mike O'Donnell, top stand-up comedian?
Oh, I just call up every time he's on.
And?
What do you have for us this time?
Well, I just want to let you guys know the actual origin of the phrase "True Life, Not Doritos." By the way.
Uh-oh, did we jump the shark?
I definitely want to know.
Yeah, I didn't come up with that phrase. I know it's a big point of contention between you and the True Life Not Doritos podcast now, but I didn't come up with that phrase. It was actually, I'm looking here on Wikipedia, it was first used in Macbeth. Macduff utters the words on hearing the death of his wife and children.
Get thee to a bakery.